Now, this is a sales meeting, and I know that I just found out it's a sales meeting, so I'm here to let you guys know about my story and the way I set goals for myself. So I was 19 years old, and I went out with my buddies to a party, and we went to this one party, and there was 3 buddies with me. There was two buddies and one guy, and we went off the road, and we nailed a tree. Me, I was paralyzed and crunched in the car. The driver actually got out, crawled out, and he was fine. He broke his collarbone, that's it. I was in a depression for like 2 years after that. So I got heavily into drugs and alcohol, and we're not talking just like marijuana. We're talking, I got into cocaine, mushrooms, and smoked a lot of dope. I didn't care if I died. My son was born 1 month before my accident. 1 month before my accident, he was born, and I was the proudest person. I came home from drinking, and I was hungover, and my little son walked out one morning, and he goes, "Daddy?" And I'm like, "What?" And he started crying. He goes, "I just wanted to say I love you." And that instant, I said, you know what? I'm living the wrong life. So 17 years ago, come January, it'll be no drugs, no alcohol. Absolutely none. 5 years after that, I was out playing wheelchair basketball, and my son was playing in a wheelchair with me. He was just a little kid playing, and he was like 7 years old. And then some guy goes, "Why don't you try skiing?" I was like, "I'm not gonna go skiing." He goes, "No, there's a way. They have these little things with the little frames with little shocks on them." And I'm like, "No, that's dumb." And he goes, "Just try it." So I went out and tried it, and I fell in love with it. So I set my goals to make the U.S. ski team. That was just one goal. Well, I'm here to tell you, you need to set your goals further than just that. You need to shoot for the moon, and what they say, if you shoot for the moon and you land on the stars, then you're all right. That's what you need to do. That's what I needed to do. Because I set for the ski team, and it was enough to get me there, but it wasn't enough to get me to start winning races. After I came back from Breckenridge and learned how to ski and wanted to become a racer, I fell out of the chairlift 40 feet. And I broke my collarbone. I got knocked unconscious. I broke my collarbone. I blew out this wrist. I broke 5 ribs, and I broke my back again. But it didn't do any more paralysis. The year before I made the U.S. ski team, I broke my arm. I don't let anything stop me when I make up my mind on what I'm going to do. So that was the first thing. The second thing was the broken arms. The third thing was breaking my legs the year before the Paralympics. I got invited on the U.S. ski team. My second race in the year, I broke both my legs. You're thinking, "Oh, this guy's in a wheelchair. Who cares, right?" That's my same thing. I was like, I don't care. I broke my legs. Can you cast it and can I race? And it happened in January. I ended up racing in March to qualify for the Paralympics the next year. The pictures you guys see here is the first with my DST hat. Of course, I was so proud to actually have my own sponsor. Making the U.S. ski team and everything, that's fine. I mean, that's good, and that's wonderful. But having a son that's 18 years old, no drugs, no alcohol, and wants to succeed in life, that is my biggest goal. That's my biggest dream. This tells a story. My mom was so proud. It meant a lot for my family because 4 months prior to that, my dad passed away. And so it was kind of like a wake-up call for my family also that, we got to keep going. And the whole family was down there. And, everybody here knows you're always right in your mom's eyes. Well, that just shows that photo. This is the X Games right here, this photo right here. And right here I'm praying, I'm like, "God, please take me to the right a little bit." But it's the scariest moment. I've never did any jumps at all. But to be invited to the X Games, anybody here know what the X Games are? Good. Well, some of you don't. The X Games are for crazy people. I swear to God, you got to be crazy to go there. Anyways, we're invited back this year, but we did it, and I'm happy to say it, the first disabled guys ever invited to this game. It wouldn't have been possible without Amdocs supporting me to help me get there through the year financially to get the skis that I break. And this is one of the parts on my business card. It said, if you're not living on the edge, you're not living. Each one of us in here, each one, we have a different edge. My edge might be, I have to be scared for my edge. Yours might be, doing something with your work. It could be, everybody here has an edge, you have to find it, and you have to know where your edge is. I do a talk to kids about drugs and alcohol and what they can perform, because they are told more now that they can't do it. And so I go to these schools and tell these kids that they can do it and how important it is for them to hear it, what they can do instead of what they can't, and setting their goals. I've talked to Bob's children's schools like 3 times now, and they motivate you because they look up to you. They look up to you, and they want to hear about your goals, and they want to hear about your dreams, and not only your successes, but they want to hear about your failures too, because that shows everybody you're human. My next goal would probably be 2010 in Vancouver to take the downhill. I mean, because there's a guy that makes those, that's on my ski team, that is the best downhiller in the world, and my plan is to beat him.
How do you push yourself when you have experienced a failure, when you are not motivated? How do you manage to motivate yourself in case of failures?
I just make bigger goals for myself. I just write them down. If they're written down, they become real goals and they become realistic. It's like the New Year's resolution. If you just say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and you don't write it down, it's going to fade away in 2 months. But if I write it down, it becomes a real goal. Afraid of death? Only when I'm skiing.